Roads to the Top coming up September 29th, immediately following Dynamite, back-to-back premiere. At the time we're recording this interview, there's a lot going on and a lot of good in your professional lives at AEW. I mean, what an incredible hot streak. I mean, this is the hottest I've seen a non-WWE promotion in 20 years growing up as a longtime wrestling fan. On top of that, you two, of course, have Roads to the Top, which is premiering soon. You're also parents. Congratulations.
Thank you.
How has everything been, just as far as clicking for you positively, creatively, professionally, and personally, all at once?
It's been a very large undertaking. There's been a lot happening all in the same, I would say, 3-month period of time here. Yeah. But it's all been very positive and very good. I think that I am personally probably the most excited for Roads to the Top of everything that's going on, because that's what I made my passion project while I was pregnant. I felt a little bit detached from the rest of the programming because I couldn't physically be a part of it. Yeah. But Roads to the Top is kind of where I was able to, stay connected to everything. And of course, behind the scenes in the executive role. But we all know that's not the same when you're the entertainer. So, but I'm really excited about the show. I think that it's got some really unique things about it that people are going to really appreciate, as well as a lot of what, people want when they come to see reality. They want to see, who's somebody who is adversarial? Who is somebody who people can't stand? Who are your friends? What are the goofy things that you do to have fun? What don't we know about you? All that stuff is there. And I'm really hopeful that people really enjoy it.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, this is a crazy season. I think the show comes along at the wildest time in the history of the company, comes along at the wildest time for me, where for 3 years, I felt like I had really pulled the wagon, and Chris Jericho had helped pull the wagon. And it just, the team we had, we're now kind of rotating the bench a little bit, where we have new, fresh, massive free agents show up. And it's really lovely because it's able to freshen the card up, freshen the show up. We were able to focus on Roads to the Top. And the most important thing is a growing family, which has completely thrown our life in different directions than we anticipated. And it's been the best thing ever.
That's awesome. And as far as with the show coming up with it, who approached you about the reality show? And more importantly, when did they? Because it seems like it just was all kind of a perfect storm with you two becoming parents, and with not the pandemic waning, but you guys starting to run live shows again, plus all these big free agents coming up. I mean, was all just kind of a perfect storm at the right time? It
was kind of a perfect coincidence, I would say. We TNT had started playing with this idea of doing this show. I think right before the pandemic hit. And then, of course, things ended up on the back burner until we were able to start moving forward again. I feel like wrestling continued to move forward, but the rest of entertainment kind of hit a huge standstill. So we didn't really start moving in this direction until that started to become, I guess we were able to navigate and figure out how the hell to do entertainment in a pandemic. And then that just happened to be right when we found out that we were having a baby. And then, of course, things started to improve and arenas started opening again. And so it just was really the just perfect storm of everything coming together all at once. There was no person that, looked into the future and said, I think this day is when all these things are going to start happening. They just happened.
I think, too, it's a product of a lot of sweat equity. I don't want to pat ourselves on the back or anything like that, but when AEW started and there were far more naysayers than there were people believing it would be what it is, I told everybody I want to be the quarterback. And I had done my life's work had led up to that point. And I want to say that WarnerMedia and the Turner Networks really just kind of called my bluff on it and said, sure, okay, well, can you go be in this production bubble and do Go Big Show? And can you do well on that show? Can you make that show a success? Hey, we're going to commission a title, which a network partner had never done for a wrestling company where it wasn't internal, and you're going to be the first champion. Can you take that? I really asked for it and I received, and it was a product of years and years and years and years and years of hard work. And now I feel like we're living in the season where we get to watch it. We get to see it. And it's all these fruits of our labor just really happening. I'm so excited to watch Rhodes to the Top with everybody else. Solely, I haven't seen a lot of the screener solely because I want to feel it too. This is insanely exciting what's happening in wrestling, and even more so in our life.
Without giving too much away, because I get a chance to see the screener and everything, at least on the surface, it seems like not only is this, of course, a reality show based on your lives and your families and everything, but also in a weird way, kind of a mini documentary on the growth of AEW in a really chaotic, fun time for you guys. Did it feel that way when filming the show?
Oof, I mean, they were there in terms of it. The best thing I felt was that Brandy and I were producers, so we could make it very much so this wasn't a framed up reality show and more of a situation where we just said, hey, put the mics on us, turn the camera on. And when that happens, you get to see this behind the scenes access to a wrestling company, to see Tony, our president, and the booker, to see how he handles everything. That, for a hardcore wrestling fan, no matter how hard, they act like they aren't interested in that peek behind the curtain it's so special, and it's so needed today. Whereas going the other way is almost insulting their intelligence more versus opening it up. I mean, it's a fan service company. It's a wrestling company by wrestlers and wrestling fans. So to have that mini documentary element, as you put it, and then to switch over and balance it out with what our life is like as a family, authentic. It's an incredibly authentic show.
Is there somebody on the show, without giving too much away, that ends up surprising people, good or bad? Maybe a supporting character that people are like, wow, like I didn't know this guy or girl had this much personality.
What do you think?
I think probably Ricky Starks. There's a little bit of a journey for Ricky in this series too, that'll probably open people up to a little more of who he is, some things that he goes through, and maybe endear him to people a bit.
Yeah, I would say Ricky in the early episodes. Tony Khan is really endearing and real and who you see, and so unique to see a leader like that in these times. Also Malakai Black, my current, opponent in this world. It is very interesting to see someone who was kind of discarded and knew they could do better and how much they could do and be so motivated and so fierce, and to see that blossom. That's a really beautiful thing too. Jade, I could go on. I feel like everybody the camera turned to, you saw a different side of them and you saw a different motivation for them.
So would you say the long-term goal for this show is not just, of course, to get all the AEW fans that are watching Rampage and Dynamite to watch this, but also to create new fans and to see more of a human side of pro wrestlers and like, wow, okay, this is pretty cool. Maybe I'll tune into this Dynamite or Rampage show.
So I've been seeing some recent discussion in media and social media about the female demographic when it comes to wrestling. It's an important demographic that isn't so tapped. And that is one area in which I think AEW is really looking to strengthen. Yeah. And when you look at it, this is a reality television show. Females watch reality TV, not just females, but females, you kind of take the torch with reality TV. So the hope is, of course, that we will have some women that watch the show that are just curious about, maybe they watched wrestling when they were a kid and they haven't watched it in a long time, or, maybe their kids watch wrestling and they don't really watch it. Maybe this is the opportunity for them to see a little bit more, or to become invested in some of our characters that are on the show and tune into a Dynamite or a Rampage for the first time and be, hooked. That's the hope.
I think my biggest goal with this show is to create fans specifically of this show who may not ever watch Dynamite or Rampage, not because I don't want them to watch it, it's more a matter of, I want the most diverse palette we can get. Our fans are the most hardcore wrestling fans, and they've been through it and their passions have been rewarded. But it's okay to pick out outlying fans or dive into different pools of water who don't know about wrestling. As a wrestler, my whole life, that's been my job, is to word of mouth show people, no, it's a really good story and you'll really like the people. And there's always a payoff with wrestling, all of this. Now we get to do it with a reality show.
Now I have some kind of quick rapid fire questions for you guys. Is that cool?
Yeah.
Fire away.
All right. What's more pressure, being a Rhodes or being a parent?
Definitely being a parent.
Parent.
Yeah.
Most awkward moment as an executive? Maybe a lesson you learned the hard way that's like, okay, this is different from just being a wrestler and on air.
We used to write emails from the desk of Cody Rhodes because I Googled it and that's what people did. And it offended the entire roster and all the other EVPs made fun of it. And honestly, I just did it because that's what I thought you were supposed to do. That's mine.
Mine is because of the executive position that I have. A lot of our women will try to use me to get what they want when they really need to go to the source. And I have intervened a couple of times. No more. I will just tell you to go straight to the source. So that's that.
Lesson learned.
Is Tony Khan as accessible as he seems on TV and like behind the scenes in interviews? He seems like a guy that's, even though he's super busy, is very approachable.
I would say Tony's very approachable. He's lovable. He's likable, great personality, but true access to Tony, I think is earned.
Very difficult.
If you see him and he's thinking of so much. He's thinking of Fulham, the Jags, AEW, so much. That's more entities, the activists, all that. I think true access to him is earned, and that's a special feeling when you've earned that access. He's approachable. Sure. But accessible, I think, is only those for who have earned it.
This is a very wrestling nerd question. So Cody and Brandy, please bear with me. I was actually live at your first ever pay-per-view main event that you were a part of, Cody Rhodes. I don't know if you remember it, when you teamed up with Ted DiBiase to
Hell in a Cell.
DX. Yeah, Hell in a Cell. I was there live for that. And I remember they did the whole stretcher job with you, and Triple H said something to you. It sounded like he gave you some advice or some props. I was just kind of wondered after all these years, what did he say to you?
I actually think he might have, believe it or not, apologized. And I don't remember this vividly because at the end of that match, it's a super kick and a hammer to the face. I think I took both at the same time. And it's easy to pull one thing. You can't pull both at the same time. So I believe I took the full brunt of his hand with the hammer in it, the loaded giant ham fist of Triple H into my chin. And I think I got a little knocked out right at the end, but it was the finish. And it was just in the Prudential Center where we were able to have AEW's first show with Rosario there and everything. So there was really nice synergy to being back in that building.
For sure. And that brawl that you guys had.
The brawl that we had went another 5 minutes where no cameras were filming us because the security couldn't separate us and we had a long way to go. But I will forever remember basically brawling in the beer garden of the Prudential Center, about to get legitimately arrested because they didn't know how to control it, but we handled it.
Who is your least favorite wrestler and why is it QT Marshall or MJF?
There you go.
Oh, wow. I'm going to have to say mine's definitely MJF. Because MJF is just trash. Wow. He's just trash. You can try to dress up trash, but it still stinks. And those are my feelings on MJF.
I love MJF. He's not a great person, but he's a great wrestler. My least favorite wrestlers are Private Party because, really? Yeah, they're the most athletic, amazing. They've got gifts that people would pay millions of dollars for, and they just around. Just talking about their 2 watches and they're just ugh.
I would put Private Party on my list because they went to Universal and in like they wanted to ride Forbidden Journey, Harry Potter's Forbidden Journey ride. They claim to not see it. How can you not see it? It's in a huge building with snow on it and the line is always out the door. Instead, they rode Flight of the Hippogriff, which was a kid's ride, and then proceeded to come and tell me that the ride sucked. And they didn't even ride the right ride.
This is so far away from rapid fire. I like Mark. I like Quinn.
Quinn is the problem.
Yeah. No, I like Quinn.
Quinn is the problem.
Isaiah too.
Oh, man.
I love both of them, to be honest.
Shout out to Private Party. All right, and we'll get you out of here on this in one sentence or less. Why should people watch Roads to the Top?
One word. It's authentic. That, to me, reality television, when it's framed, it's very traditional. You've seen that before, whereas this show has an authentic outlook on all of these characters for good or for bad. To see behind the scenes, it's very rewarding for a wrestling fan. And if you've never seen wrestling before, just the human journey of balancing being an executive, and being a wrestler and then being a new
pregnant.
parent. And right. And it's no longer one word or even one sentence anymore.
Yeah, that was a paragraph.
I'm very proud of Rhodes to the Top because it's authentic. That is what I wanted it to be. And that's what it is.
Brandy and Cody, thank you so much for your time. Best of luck and everything. Congratulations on all of AEW's success. We have TNT's Rhodes to the Top premiering, of course, on TNT September 29th, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Back-to-back premiere immediately following AEW Dynamite. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.